Hello, everyone. Before we dive into this week's episode, I just wanted to give a little disclaimer. On this episode, I have a guest who was clinically diagnosed with social anxiety, depression, and bipolar type 2. And with his consent, I decided to keep the episode a little bit raw to give you an idea of what it feels like to deal with social anxiety and coming up and talking to new people, about your experience. So I hope you find this episode a little insightful and I hope it helps because it certainly did give me a lot of insight. And special thanks to Varun for coming up on my podcast and speaking about his experience. It never is easy for anyone to, talk about their mental health journey. And I highly appreciate him for coming here and doing so. I hope you enjoyed this episode and I would love to hear your feedback by the end of it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast Beautiful You. I'm your host, Avantika. So, November is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and to celebrate this month, we have a beautiful guest on our podcast. His name is Varun. Hi, Varun. Thank you for being here. How are you doing today?
So I'm feeling a bit scared. I'm a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit anxious, and I feel that. So I feel that. So when we go on in this interview, I'll feel more and more comfortable. So that's what I wanted to say. I'm feeling a bit scared and anxious today, and so I've been dealing with a lot of like. It's been getting overwhelming for me, and like I've been feeling like I'm feeling like
It's okay. Take your time.
I've been feeling scared, anxious, and like socially anxious, and எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் பயமா இருக்கு. So I'm feeling a bit scared.
Yeah, I can imagine talking about mental health is really not easy. So I really appreciate you being here, and I'm sure all the listeners appreciate you being here as well. So thank you. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Empathy கொஞ்சம் சொல்ல பார்க்குறேன். So I'll try to tell a bit about myself. I am 32 years of age, and I am studying in Christ University in Bangalore. I am doing my master's course in counseling psychology. எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் பயமா இருக்கு. So I'm feeling a bit scared, but it's okay. It will get better with time. And basically, I'm doing my MSc in counseling psychology. I don't have a psychology background.
Yeah.
I'm basically an engineer. I'm basically an engineer by education.
So,
I'm basically an engineer by education, and I've done my MBA as well. I've been unemployed a lot due to my mental health issues. So, like, basically, I have worked for just around 1 year or just over 1 year maybe in my life. And yeah, it's been difficult, and yeah, so I've had mental health issues ever since I can remember, ever since I was a kid. And yeah, and in spite of how it looks like, I have been getting better, and been getting better, and yeah, I just struggled with a lot of depression, anxiety, social anxiety,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and going through a phase now where I'm going through a lot of social anxiety and depression. So that's basically a little bit about myself. If you want me to expand on any of these,
Um, so
can I can.
you were diagnosed with social anxiety and depression, right?
I was diagnosed with bipolar type 1, but uh, I don't believe I have bipolar type 1.
Okay.
So, so basically, I know that I'm not a mental health professional and I can't comment on a doctor's diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, my strong feeling is that my strong feeling is that I have unipolar depression, basically depression with anxiety. And so, if you want to give it a label, bipolar type 2 sounds better than bipolar type 1. But again, I'm not an expert, and this comes with, you know, so you have to trust the experts, but at the same time, I am the one who knows my life the best. My doctors, however well educated they may be, they do not know me for 32 years. And the only person that knows me for 32 years is myself. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that I believe I have mostly depression with anxiety, and a lot of I believe I have PTSD. But again, that comes with a huge bench of salt, like complex PTSD and stuff like that. But this only comes of my basic knowledge from Google searches and stuff like that. So take that with a huge pinch of salt. But I have experienced trauma in my life, and it's difficult to deal with it. But basically, that's it. Like I don't recall me having a manic episode as such. Uh, but yeah, so that's basically what I've been diagnosed with. But officially, it's like bipolar disorder. I don't know if it's, I believe it's type 2. Like my current doctors believe it's probably type 2 rather than type 1. Because I'm getting treatment from NIMHANS in Bangalore. So NIMHANS is National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience. It's like one of the most, if not the best institute of mental health in India. So yeah, I'm getting treatment from there. And I am uh, going to a clinical psychologist there. And yeah, I'm trying to get all the help that I can. And that's basically a little bit about my diagnosis and kind of treatment I'm getting. So I could go more into that in further questions.
Okay. How old were you when you first started or going to a mental health professional?
So I first started going to a mental health professional when I was 25. This was in 2015, and yeah, I was in Calcutta. I was doing my MBA, and I don't know, my parents and my brother all thought that I was a bit too aggressive. I used to do things like I would make plates of food, and when I got angry at my mother or my brother or my father, I would just throw things around inside the house in fits of rage. I would get so, like, basically, I would get so angry, and that would lead me to do all these sorts of violent acts, like throwing stuff around the house, smashing guitars. Uh, yeah, so something was off about me, and basically my parents thought that I need to visit a mental health professional, and I was completely against it. Uh, I wanted to be left alone, and I felt that things will sort themselves out on their own. But unfortunately, they didn't, and unfortunately, I went to a counselor for the first time in 2015. It was May, I believe, or April or May of 2000,
Okay.
when I'm doing my internship in Calcutta, and that was when I first saw a mental health professional. And shortly after, I saw a psychiatrist. I went to a psychiatrist. I was admitted to a nursing home in Calcutta, and basically that's where uh, things got, uh, things got slightly ugly. But yeah, uh, basically that was when I saw my first mental health professional, 2015 May. Yes.
Okay, 2050. Um, so can you tell us a little bit about your journey with, you know, starting mental health in the first, now like mental health help or seeking guidance, and now how has it been so far?
So it's been a journey of 7 years since 2015, and uh, basically I've been on and off medication for the last 7 years, and yeah, it's been a difficult journey. I've been through so many different kinds of medications, so many different doctors, and so many different therapists.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, yeah, it's just like I sometimes have been diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder. I have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, stuff like that. Uh, yeah. Uh, so I initially got started on lithium in 2015 and many other drugs. So olanzapine is one I can think of. Uh, but I don't recall all of the drugs I was taking then. I have descriptions of it. I have files and files of prescription. So yeah, uh, yeah, it's been a difficult journey. I also went through electroconvulsive therapy treatment. I opted for it on my own, and yeah, but I think it had no effect on me. It did not change my condition or improve my condition. But yeah, so that's been my journey. I have stopped medications on my own several times because I felt that they were not having any effect. Even now, I am, you know, suspect about the efficacy and the effectiveness of the medicines I'm taking because I feel like shit most of the time. Not most of the time. A lot of yeah, most of the time. I'll say it most of the time. I feel like shit, and it's mostly because I'm either feeling extremely sad, depressed, lonely, or I have extremely terrible social anxiety. So that's been the situation for the last, I don't know, 7 years. My story, like, yeah, I could go into specific details, but yeah, I'll wait for your further questions. Uh,
7 years sounds like a really, really long time. It has
yeah,
been years for me that I've been in and out of therapy, and I've seen so many therapists and psychiatrists, and it has been a journey of its own. Like finding the right treatment, um, finding the right psychiatrist, and the medication, that takes a lot of time and a lot of trial and errors to get there.
yeah.
How would you say your treatment is going now when it comes to, I mean, you mentioned your medications don't seem to be working as much. Have you talked to your psychiatrist about it? And what
Yeah, basically, I have reduced my medications. Recently, I used to take 7 medicines, and like most recently, I took 7 medications, uh, I did. I, it reduced to around 4. Uh, Basically, after I saw my doctor at NIMHAM, and yeah, it's just that I don't know. My doctors keep thinking that so I'm taking antidepressants. My doctor cut out my anti-anxiety medication, which is clonazepam, which is a benzodiazepine. So because of its addictive nature and all, I believe that's why they removed it. And I'm currently on like I think 3 mood stabilizers, and in that includes one antipsychotic, I think, and one antidepressant. And the doctors like always tell me that they're giving me antidepressant combined with the mood stabilizer because they think that if they stop the mood stabilizers, my antidepressants will cause me to go into mania, which I don't believe is the case. You know, like doctors technically believe that. Uh, I mean, technically they must be right that if you only take antidepressants, even if you are in your depressive phase, you can go into mania. Uh, but for me, I believe that like throughout these last 7 years, I have mostly had depressive. So I strongly contest what the doctors, uh, you know, uh, say about my uh, treatment because I strongly believe I have unipolar depression rather than bipolar disorder. So there's a bit of confusion, and we are all not on the same page yet. So I'm working on it. I'm trying to muster up the courage to, like tell my doctor that, hey doc, this is what I think. I I don't think I have uh, bipolar disorder. I think I have depression. But anyway, I'm okay with the label. It's okay. I'm not afraid of the label. It's just the effectiveness of the medicine, which is a question mark.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm skeptical about. But let's see how it goes. Like things are only getting better. Overall, I would say in my life things are getting better. But let's see how it all goes, and let's see what happens in the uh, near future. I'm just taking it one day at a time, one step at a time. So let's see what happens. And I believe things are generally going in the positive direction. So that's a big plus.
I'm glad you
Yeah,
feel positive change over the years. Yeah.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
So how has social anxiety affected your relationships?
Yeah, so I'm 32 years old, as I mentioned, and I've never been in a romantic relationship in my life. I have never dated. I have never had sex in a relationship or out of a relationship. I- um, like I can tell you what I have had. It's not relevant actually, but maybe you can cut this out. But I have actually paid to have sex with uh, sex workers. So that's it. That's my admission. But interestingly, also told this to my parents. I've completely been open with them and stuff like that. So that's okay. But I mean, I have no regrets. It's okay. But the point is that uh, coming back to relationship, I have always been a loner throughout my life. Like not now, but at least for the first 25 years of my life, I was a loner. I did not have any friends. I mean, my school friends used to bully me like crazy because I was always the shy kid who didn't never talk to girls and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been difficult, and yeah, it's just almost crippling. Sometimes it's so debilitating, and it's just uh, you can't live with it. You can't survive with it. You can't thrive with it. You can't function with it, and it just causes so much anxiety. Like I get anxiety about the anxiety, literally. So uh, it's like crazy, and yeah, it's just caused me to not have friends in life, that many friends. Like right now I could say that I have 3 really good friends, but outside of them, I don't really have many friends in my classroom. These three friends are in my hostel room, in my hostel basically. Uh, and yeah, it's just been a difficult time making new friends, and it's just been such a big challenge and such a I don't know. But basically that's been the story of my life. Having difficulty creating social relationships and maintaining social relationships. Uh, and it's affected me a lot. Like it's depressed me a lot. It's alienated me a lot. I feel very lonely at times. And if it wasn't for my support system of my family and these three friends that I mentioned, I probably would have dropped out of this course much earlier. I'm actually thinking of dropping out of the course, but I haven't made that final decision yet. So that's basically it. It's been debilitating, challenging, intimidating, scary, anxiety inducing, and it's just been such a difficult time. So that's been the story of my relationships. This fear of getting hurt from people, fear of them saying something bad about me or thinking something bad about me or judging me. Uh, just like everyone has that fear, but most people can handle it. For me, handling it becomes difficult, and I tend to like be very careful with even saying one or two words. Like if I don't know a person, I'll be so scared of even talking to them. So it's just the good part is that when I get comfortable with people, it's more easy for me to open up. And it just takes a few minutes, but alone with the person to get to know them better. At least for me, can't speak for anyone else. Just being with people for a few minutes or a few hours, it can make you open up to them. And unfortunately, I haven't had that opportunity at Christ, but I'm working on it. And basically, I was saying that I'm fighting it out, and yeah, uh, I'm just trying my best to take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and it can be debilitating. It can be very intimidating when you walk into a class of 65 students, 64 other students, and and you don't have any friends. Like imagine that 2.5 months into the course, it's been 2.5 months, and I still don't have any friends who I can call anytime I want to. Uh, Difficult and challenging, but yeah, I'm just pushing through, and hopefully things turn out for the best. I'm also thinking of dropping the course and focusing on my mental health. Like I am prioritizing my mental health at the moment, and I believe everyone should, and all men should definitely be mental health month. I did that. So like men, especially, are told to suppress their emotions and not cry and stuff like that. For me, I'm not crying for a different reason. I don't know. Like it's just that uh, it's I don't know. I want to cry desperately. I want to let it all out, but it's just not happening. I don't know. Or I guess I'm not feeling safe enough, or I don't want to be that vulnerable. But maybe I think that I will get hurt if I start crying by the person who is seeing me cry. So it's just that thing that you know. I'm just fighting it out, and it can be a lonely battle, but I don't feel lonely. I don't feel lonely because I believe that I have God with me, and you know, um, like I believe in a higher power. I believe in the universe. I believe that the universe is conspiring for you and not against you. So that's what keeps me going. Uh, that faith in God, and the support of my family. That's what is keeping me going. And I've been to dark places. I've been because of my depression and all. I have gone through phases where I am going to place a trigger warning here in case one is sensitive. about these things, but more than other people. So uh, it's basically related to suicide, and so basically, I wanted to say that I have had suicidal thoughts uh, over the years. Uh, it's been difficult. It's been challenging, and yeah, it's just as I said, faith in God and support from my family and some of my friends has been what has been keeping me going and not uh, throwing in the towel, not accepting defeat.
That does seem like something that is, it is a difficult thing to go through. Having
Yeah,
like being in a dark place where you deal with suicidal thoughts, where you are dealing with depression several times in so many years, it just it never gets easy. Especially
yeah,
in Indian society, it's not as people are not as open about it as people they should be. It's a very
yeah.
stigmatized profession, or it's a very stigmatized aspect of life even today. So you mentioned that the first time that you took help was because your family asked you to, and then
Yes.
throughout the years they have been major support to you regarding mental health. Could you tell us a little bit about your dynamics with your family?
So it's been difficult because uh, I've had a love-hate relationship with my family, but particularly with my father, and yeah, um, I have got daddy issues. I have to admit that, and uh, it's just been difficult over the years. I mean, at first I was totally resistant to being a mental health professional, and I still like. I've always felt my family has been um, against me for some reason, but at the same time they have been supportive. I cannot deny that. Yeah, because without their support, whether it be emotional support, mental support, psychological support, financial support, I wouldn't be alive today. And for that, I'm forever grateful and forever thankful of my family, my my brother, yeah, and my sister-in-law, who also I'm close to. Um, yeah, it's just a weird dynamic with my father because it's, as I said, it's a love-hate relationship, and uh, yeah, it's just that uh, there's been a lot of emotional abuse and verbal abuse. I'm not saying I'm innocent in all of this. I have been part of it because when you live in a toxic environment or uh, dysfunctional family, I would say that you also tend to be toxic. And like, it's important to realize that you are not better or worse than anyone else in your family or in life in general. Like, we are all uh, at the same level, just that yeah, we do it at our own speeds and uh, at our own pace. But yeah, basically, I don't blame my family. I don't blame my family for my situation. I don't say that it's your fault. I would say at this point we share a really loving relationship with one another. We are always there to support each other at the end of the day. That's what I would say the dynamics of my family are.
I really admire the fact that, despite going through so much, you are still able to uh, take things positively and push yourself to, be better and do better. And like I
Yeah,
can see that you're taking accountability for your mental health, for the trauma that
that,
you've been through, and you're working your way through it. So that's a really admirable quality.
thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. That's very kind of you.
You mentioned that you were resistant to mental health help before. So what
Yeah.
brought that shift from, um, being resistant to it, and now that you're open about it? So what brought that shift within you?
Basically, there was kind of an episode which I had in 2015, the end of May 2015, which you could term as a psychotic episode or something like that. But it was very brief, and I believe that because it was so short in time, um, I don't know if it was, um, could be classified as a psychotic episode, but basically, I started feeling one day that I'm going to die the next day. I had this delusion in my mind, and like, and I started going to. I went to one room of some in the PG I was staying in of other students over there. So they were younger than me, and they were in their early 20s. And I just went up to them. This was when I was 25, and I just told them that, oh shit, I'm gonna die tomorrow. I'm going to die, and I have to go back to Bombay to see my parents for one last time. And the illusion that I believe can be classified as psychosis, but I don't know. I'm not qualified enough to speak on that, but uh, that was when I first felt that I really needed help.
Has age affected your mental health, and if so, in what ways? When we are studying, about different disorders in class, we have been told that there are some disorders that get worsen or get a little bit more complicated or intense as we age. So in your case, when dealing with, let's say, bipolar, as doctor said, or social anxiety or depression, has age been a factor in the intensity of the disorders?
For me, like I feel that like over the years things have gotten better, whether that's due to medicines or whether that's due to something else. I don't know, but of therapy. But age has definitely, like as they say, time is the best healer. Time is a healer, and that's definitely been true in my case. And
So most of my audience, most of the listeners that we have, they are studying to be psychologists. So what advice would you have for the people who are studying to be psychologists when it comes to your treatment or just mental health in general?
basically, what advice I would have? Uh, so even though I'm doing an MSc in counseling psychology, uh, I did not do my bachelor's in psychology. I did my bachelor's in education. Sorry, in engineering. In engineering. And, yeah. So what I would say is that uh, before you think about like giving therapy to others or being a therapist or a helper for others, really focus on your mental health, your own mental health, and that is the most important thing I would say. I would say that just think about your own life and your own struggles, and if you feel that you can be a therapist to someone else uh, while having mental health issues of your own, uh, I would say that first focus on your own mental health. Maybe it's while doing the course or before you do the course. It's really important because unless your mental health is at its peak, you won't be able to help out.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah, exactly.
So what advice would you give to yourself, to your younger self, when you had first started on your mental health journey?
Would mean that you're feeling scared now, you're feeling lonely now, and you feel that you don't have any friends. But be brave because things are going to work out for you in the future. Things are going to work out. Like, just trust the process and just believe in God. And like apart from all of this, I would say that I would not advise my uh, younger self anything because my younger self just knows what to do. Like I believe that everyone knows what to do at every point in their life. It's just that yeah, that uh, there's that no regrets philosophy that attitude that I've bashed myself up in the past. Looking back, I've blamed myself. No, I don't need to do that. The 15-year-old me was valid. The 20-year-old me was valid. The 25-year-old me was valid. The 5-year-old me was valid. The 10-year-old me was valid. And you just have to accept things for what they are because this is not something that we can change by going back in the past, and we should change going back in the past. This was what the universe designed us to be like. So I just feel that having a no regrets philosophy is so important in life. I know some people struggle with that, but I am so blessed to have reached that mindset in my life that I don't regret anything of my past or in my present. I am not going to regret anything about my future, whatever it may be. That doesn't mean I don't apologize to people for the wrongs I've done. It's just that with what information I had at every point in my life, I did the best that I could. And if you can see that to yourself, then you have done your job. That's all. You don't need to. You don't need to live up to all expectations. Yeah.
That's a really beautiful message out there. And I hope it resonates with someone, because even I very strongly believe that as long as you do what you think is best, you've done your job there. You know, the point is just to try to make the best out of whatever knowledge and wisdom and choices that you have. So there's no point in really regretting and looking back, because you were genuinely just trying your best at that particular age. So it's a really important message, and I hope it resonates with someone out there. So do you have any last words for our listeners before we come to the end of the episode?
I would say that mental health is a difficult journey. Some have it more difficult than others at different points in time in their life. I would just say to people that hang in there, it gets better, and just reach out whenever you can, whenever you're in that frame of mind where you're thinking of reaching out, but you don't know what to do, and you didn't even consider that option of calling up that friend or calling up that person in your life, may be able to help you. Just reach out, not for friends, if not friends. You could reach out to helpline numbers. There are, if you just Google it, you could get many mental health helpline numbers in India. And it's so important to reach out, to talk about it. I know not everyone talk about it for various reasons. People find it difficult to talk about it. But if you find that person who you're comfortable with and who you feel that you can share about it with, whether it be your friends or someone you know, or whether it be some mental health helpline number, do it, reach out, and protect yourself. And you're your most important asset. You're your most important person in life. So just do that. Take care of yourself and put your mental health first. Above anything else, above exams, above work, above even your, like, I know this may sound like cruel or something, like put your mental health above everyone else in your life. Everyone else. It could be family. Of course, family is the most important thing in life, but your mental health is definitely more important than anything else in life. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I totally agree with it.
Unless your mental health is not good, you can't help out your family. That's the motivation. If you need some to just focus on your, it's so important.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really grateful that you took some time for it and you were, willing to speak about your journey with us. I hope this, resonates with someone out there, and it reaches to that one person who feels less alone through this episode. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. And I just want to say that you're an amazing person who's doing amazing work in this podcast, with this podcast, and with mental health in general. And I just want to say to you, Avantika, just take care of your own mental health, and
Thank you.
Just keep rocking.
Thank you so much. And that's a wrap on this episode. I hope you were able to learn something from it. I hope it was insightful for you. I sure learned a lot from it. And again, a big shout out to Varun for coming up on my platform and talking about his journey. And yeah, feel free to send me feedback about it. If you know anyone who has been diagnosed with a mental disorder and who would be willing to come on my podcast to talk about their journey, I would be honored to have them on my podcast. So please, let me know if there is anyone who's interested to talk about that. My Instagram and email will be linked down below. Feel free to reach out. And yeah, I hope you have a beautiful rest of the week, and I will see you soon. But before I end the episode, so today, just like 2 hours ago, I had my therapy session and I was talking to my therapist about how November is celebrated as Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And he actually legitimately said, "Oh, is that even a thing?" I'm not completely sure if he was joking or if he didn't really know about it, but yeah, that happened. So I feel like it's something that should be celebrated every day, every month, and not just not just have 30 days designated to it. So to all the men out there who are listening to this right now, here's a reminder that it is okay to feel your feelings, it is okay to talk about the things that you're struggling with, and it is okay to seek help. I am so proud of you for being here with us today. I know it hasn't been easy, the society doesn't make it easy for you, but I just want to remind you that talking about your trauma and seeking help does not make you any less of a man. Crying will not make you any less of a man. Feeling your feelings does not make you any less of a man. It just means that you're a human. Sending a lot of love to all the men out there. To anyone who is struggling mentally, who is scared to speak up, who feel dismissed by the society, who feel they have no one, or those who are in therapy. You are seen, you are loved, and you do matter. Thank you so much for being here with us today. On that note, I'll see you guys in the next episode. I love you. Bye.